To Channeling Presents. I hope everybody has had a great August. I haven't done a show. It's been 2 weeks now, almost 3 weeks since I've done a show. So I'm really looking forward to it. I had a last minute change, and I am so grateful for my guest that was agreed to just jump in at the last minute. And it was funny because as we were chatting before we went live, she asked me, "Well, what are we going to chat about?" And I'm like, "I don't know. We'll figure something out." So, without further ado, I want to welcome Alanna Scott King. There she
Hey!
is. And Alanna, you changed the name of your company since we last chatted.
I did.
Because it used to be ASK Healing. Is that right?
Yes, that's
Ask
correct.
Healing.
Yeah.
Alanna Scott King. It took me, and I say it that way because it did take me about 3 chats with Alanna before she said ASK, Alanna Scott King. And I went,
My initials?
oh, yeah, that's cool. But now it is called Akashic
Dragon Healing Services.
Akashic Dragon Healing Services. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's great. Well,
That's
it's more, I identify it's more relevant to
Yeah, it's more
what I
what you
do,
do.
right?
Yeah,
So it made more sense than just my name.
exactly. So I want to thank you for coming on last minute. I know I just asked you this morning. I had the guest I had lined up. I had something come up and she wasn't able to make it. So I really, really thank you for saving my bacon because
You're
nobody
welcome.
wanted to hear Kevin just chat by himself for an hour. That was kind of boring. I have to apologize. I keep looking at my face and I have a sinus infection and the whole side of my face is swollen. And it's probably, you can't see it as much as I can. So I'm just going to sit here like this for the rest of the night so you can't see my face.
Is it in pain right now?
No, actually, it's not been bad.
Just,
I intentionally didn't take any painkillers because I have been taking painkillers up
yeah.
until, well, I took only one this morning. I was taking 2 extra strength Tylenol every 4 to 6 hours yesterday. It was pretty
Oh,
painful.
wow.
So
Yeah,
it's not
okay.
bad today. They gave me a course of antibiotics, and it's
Mhm.
bizarre because I had some healing done to it
Okay.
a year and a half ago. Probably,
Oh, okay.
maybe
Yeah.
even longer. And
Yeah.
I used to get these literally once a month, once every 2 months,
Okay.
and it had gone away. I don't know
Mhm.
if something blew up my nose when I was camping, too
Okay.
much dust or whatever it was. I wasn't
Yeah.
cleaning. I'd use a neti pot on a regular basis. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. Anyway, we're not here to talk about my nasal cavities. I told you. I warned everybody. You
You should
don't
have had your
know.
doctor come on instead.
You don't know what Alanna and I will talk about. Alanna
Okay.
and I have become, since we've last chatted a year and a bit ago, she just informed me it was June of 2021.
Yeah.
Alanna and I have become good friends. I'll say good friends.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and so when I'm talking to her, it's just like we chat all the time. Although we haven't
Yeah.
chatted really in a long time. We've both been
No.
busy doing our
Get
thing.
crazy busy.
So tonight, what I want to do is I want to kind of take you back and I want to talk about your journey. I
Okay.
think it's really important for others to hear how we got to where we are. Not
Okay.
that we've reached. How we say that, then it
No,
sounds
no.
like we've reached our
Yeah,
pinnacle.
no.
We're, we're
It's like
no,
it's a
we're down
like you said,
here, and we still got
it's
a
a
long way to
journey,
go.
right?
It's still a journey,
Yeah.
but so when we talk about spirituality and we talk about sorry, people are saying hello. Alana says hello, and
Hey.
Carla says hello, and Susan Sweeney says hello. Hi, everybody. So when we talk about starting our spiritual journey, where did that start for you? How when you first realized, hey, I should become spiritual? Doesn't that sound dumb?
Okay. Well, I grew up in the first time I went, although when I was younger, we used to call them fortune tellers, not like psychics,
Yes.
right?
Yes, they were fortune tellers. That's right. They had the crystal ball and
Yeah, yeah, not
the turban
necessarily, but
thing. Well, it wasn't even a
the,
real turban. What was that thing they would wear on their head? Was it
I
considered a
don't.
turban? The rat.
No, no, I don't. I don't know who you were talking to, but not the lady
The
that I
crystal
talked to.
ball and the tents.
Uh, I was 14 the first time I went because my parents were very interested, and maybe they would go once a year or something like
Okay.
that, and I went with them. And so that was interesting. No idea what was said. As a matter of fact, the lady didn't really want to do it because I was so young.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, anyway, but I was always interested. And and things would come through every so often. Like when my grandmother died, she stood at the end of my bed. I remember that. And
Oh,
so
really?
little things happened to me, not constant.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
2018, my mother passed away. And once she died, everything came through at once.
Oh,
So, mediumship, like everything. And
oh, wow.
so I started wanting to get more information because I was always interested. I was always wanting to get to do something like this. But I didn't feel like I was at that skill level, right? So
Right.
so things just everything's just started coming through like crazy. And
And
so
sorry, what
then
year was that?
2018.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So not really that long ago.
Not that long ago. In my head, I thought you had really started on your journey before that, but no, you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was interesting actually how it really got going is I took Heal Your Life certification training so I can teach workshops with like Louise Hay workshops,
Right.
as
Okay.
well as coaching. And while I was taking that, I met Kellyanne Bass
Oh, nice.
because she
Nice.
was
We've interviewed
assisting.
Kellyanne, so people
Yeah.
who watch the
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
regularly know who Kellyanne is. She's
Yes.
awesome.
So she's amazing. And so I met her there. And so we started talking and it just kind of evolved a little bit from there. So the next course I took was Reiki um
Well,
then I
be-
wanted
before you
to.
go into that, let's go back to Louise Hay. Is that
Okay.
right? Is
Yeah,
that the
yeah,
proper
yeah,
name?
yeah, yeah.
Who is she? Who, like,
Okay.
we talk about it like everybody should know,
It's
and
true. You're
it,
right. You're right. Louise
I remember the
Hay.
first time you brought it up to me, I was like,
Who?
huh?
Who
Huh?
dat?
What are you talking about?
Well, she's been around. Well, she's passed now, but
Yes.
she started writing books about self-help and helping others. She wrote a book called "You Can Heal Your Life," and it is about how what we say to ourselves. So it's a lot of inner child healing.
Oh,
What
okay.
you can change what you say to yourself. They are thoughts, and thoughts can be changed. So to
So
change your
is
perception,
she
yeah.
spiritual based or is it more self help based?
Well, it's spiritual as well because she goes through kind of your inner self, I guess.
Okay.
But she also worked very closely. When people had AIDS, she was working with large groups of people that had AIDS that had been turned away everywhere
Oh,
else. And she
wow.
ended up starting Hay House, the publishing company.
Yes, I've heard of
Okay,
that.
because at that time, there were no publishing companies that would touch spiritual self-help books.
Oh, cool. Hi, Angie Morris.
Yeah, and she's truly amazing.
Oh, awesome.
And
Okay.
I could go this entire time just talking about Louise Hay.
That is cool. And you know what? It's good because a lot of times we'll mention something and we'll just skip by it because we've talked about it,
Yeah, and then I
or
still
we just
teach your
assume
workshops,
everybody
right?
knows. You still teach workshops from Louise
Yeah, and I
Hay.
often do them on Zoom. I'll do little 3-hour workshops, and which are really
Nice.
great. They're like an evening workshop, and so that way it's like seeing the best version of you, how turn things around to positive self-talk, and but not it's not all kind of like the oh yeah you need to be like this. It's like it's also digging deeper to get rid of. You know what I mean? You have to deal with the
Yes.
shadow part of yourself, the
Yes. Yeah.
darker part that
Yeah.
you bury, because that was a big revelation for me when I took the workshop. I thought, oh, well, like I haven't had anything really traumatic happen to me. Like some of the other people in the workshop had really horrible things happen to them
Right.
until I started doing some of the exercises within the group. And all of this stuff came out, which I didn't realize was actually buried because you just kind of like, okay, yeah, no, that's fine. Everybody's fine. I'm good. We'll just move on. And I'm the queen of like, change the subject. Diversion. The queen of diversion right here.
We can do that. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want
Yeah.
to talk about that. So how about those hockey players?
Yeah. Or like I always switch it around and end up talking about whoever I'm talking to. Oh, and
Yes.
so what? Tell me about you. And so
Yes.
then people, you know what I mean? And so,
Yes.
yeah.
I
Anyway,
think
so
that's
that
a
was kind
common
of the
trait.
first biggie. Yeah, that was the first big one. And then I ended up taking Reiki, and then I took, wanted to learn more about channeling. And that's when I took a lot of channeling courses. And it
Nice.
just kind of went on from there.
Now,
And
did
so,
you
yeah.
find once you started doing like more of the energy work,
Hmm.
excuse me, along with channeling,
Yes,
that the Louise Hayes meshed together really, really well?
really well.
Yeah, I
And
would figure.
yeah, because with my business now, it's, and always has been really, the whole thing about Louise Hay is healing, right? Everything I do revolves around healing.
Right.
So, like literally everything. So even, a lot of my work is in the Akashic records. I
Yes.
will open the Akashic records even if I'm doing a card reading.
Oh,
So
really?
we get information. I work a lot with dragons in the Akashic records. So it's like, that's why I needed to change the name of my company, because
Yeah.
it just, yeah, it needed that.
It needed to change. Now,
Yeah,
when we go back, let's go back when you were younger, um, in into
like
your
last
teenage
week
years.
or
Yeah. When you were a teenager last week, um,
yeah, right.
um, did you have experiences spiritually as a teenager, or is it something that you were just interested in?
Um, I didn't have any like big spiritual things happen.
Yeah,
There was a lot of belief, of course,
of
but
course.
it was, and I grew up religious, but I'm not religious now. I'm spiritual.
Big,
Um,
big difference.
huge difference. And
Yes.
so, and for people that are a little bit confused about that, religion is organized and you're told what you need to believe, whereas to me, spiritual comes through. And everything I work so much with angels, more than like angels and dragons, and everything's in the light, and
Right.
that's why I work well with getting rid of any like dark entities and stuff.
Oh, you're gonna go reach to the dark entities. See,
Well,
last
no,
time
but
Alanna was on my show, it wasn't called Kevali Channeling Presents. It was Wednesday night sessions, and she brought up dark entities, and we broke the internet.
and then suddenly it cracked. I'm like,
Every,
oh, guess I
like
don't like us
literally, she
talking
said the
about
words
that.
dark energy, and it went poof. I was like,
Like,
okay,
get
no,
back
I
in your
said let's
corner.
not break the internet tonight.
Yeah. So, but for me, everything is so into the light that it's
Yes,
very important to, but you also need to know the difference between, not everything is like I can't stand toxic positivity. It's like,
and
okay, let's
there
pretend
is.
everything's perfect and then we nothing,
Yes.
always be positive. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna kill you. Deal with the emotions and then you can, you need to work your way through, right? So
You
you
do.
can't
You
just
do.
pretend it's not there because they always come back.
Exactly. And on the other hand, you don't want to be all negative and
No,
be
well,
all,
no,
woe is
no, or
me.
live there, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah,
I always tell
so,
people there has to be a balance in anybody's
oh
life and
yeah, yeah.
anything we do. If there's no good, we can't have bad.
The good, the bad, and the ugly, baby.
If there's no light, if there's no dark, we can't have light.
Well,
It
yeah,
has to be both.
it's like, I'd like to just, if you don't mind, touch on
Yeah.
gratitude for a minute. And I know that gratitude is like everybody should be grateful, blah, blah. Sounds like I'm making fun of it. But what I have learned and what has actually helped me with manifesting a lot is that I will say, for example, if I'm going through something difficult, say with somebody, or there's like I'm having a hard time about something, I've started to say, in because I try to say something grateful every day. Thank you, universe. I'm grateful for this lesson I'm learning right now because I know there's something really important I need to learn from this to move forward.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so then it's not just like, it's kind of like people when they pray or whatever. If you're only praying when you're in trouble, I
It's
just try to balance it. And that way it's
yes.
like, you know what, I need to learn. Obviously I need to learn something here.
There's a lesson to be learned. I'm
There's,
just not sure
yeah,
what the
yeah, I just
F it
haven't
is
seen it
yet.
yet. And it's not easy, but and I've noticed that since I've been open, then you're open to receiving.
Of
And so
course.
you're accepting of what is going on. And I'm still, and I'm not saying like if something truly horrific happens, I'm not saying that. This is just your day-to-day stuff that
Yeah,
is, yeah,
exactly.
that
So
it's
in
like, I don't know.
so in your business, I know you do all kinds of things. You're a teacher, you're a healer, you do readings similar to what I do. Not really. You do a little bit different. You
Yeah,
don't
no.
get into mediumship a lot.
Yeah, no. I
Yeah.
do mediumship. It comes through in most of my readings, but it's not my focus.
Yeah. Your focus is more set on healing. Is that correct?
Healing, absolutely.
Gotcha. Now you're teaching. Um, you took, I know from past discussions, you have Akashic Records training, you have channeling training, you have a
Yeah.
Reiki training. So you teach all of those?
I teach yeah, and I'm writing some different courses as well because I think there's some gaps. And so I'm working on that right now.
Oh,
This
cool.
coming weekend, I'm teaching Introduction to Akashic Records, so you can go into your own and read your own and what's in there, which is really helpful because stuff
Oh my
repeats
goodness.
itself in so many lifetimes that,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So I'm
Let's
teaching that coming up, but
let's touch on that. I'm getting that we should touch on Akashic Records and what they really are. Again, we talk about, like we just say the words Akashic Records, and
yeah,
there's a lot of
exactly.
people in the industry listening to us, but there's also a lot of people who might be listening for the first time, and they're going,
So, yeah,
"What
yeah.
the hell is she? What kind of what
Well,
the
yeah,
what record?
I remember that too. I'm like, well, the first time I heard it, I'm like, what?
The what?
I mean, there are different
Hold
names
it.
for it,
Did you
like
just
the
say
Book
you
of
work with
Life.
dragons? What the?
What kind of nut bars on tonight?
Where has Kevin gone tonight?
Yeah.
Kevin's gone
So,
off the
but
deep end
Akashic
again.
Records, because I like to, what I really strive for, and is trying to explain. It's very complex, right? Try to
Yes.
explain it as simple as, because I need to know, like, if I'm just learning about something I've never heard of, I don't want to hear a
I always
you
tell
know
people, "Can you dumb it down
10-page
for me?
explanation.
Just dumb it down for me."
So how I like to explain it is it's like everything ever that's ever been in existence has a record. It's like this massive library. I like to, when I go in, it's like I'm going into the Harry Potter library. Like this
Nice.
gigantic library, right? And so every person, every lifetime, every experience, every emotion, but it also goes with homes. So a house can be cleared of all of its records for sale, which helps it sells fast when you do that. But things like that. So for example, there's a record of everything you've ever done in every lifetime. I focus on healing, so I'm going in your past lives to see if there's something there that we need to rewrite, because in every lifetime you have contracts, deals, and agreements, and what it could be something just said to yourself, but if you say it so passionately, it's going in your records. Right.
And something like that would be, I mean, the best thing is, "I'm never gonna love again."
Exactly.
It's probably the
Your
most
heart's
common.
broken. Yeah.
Yes.
Or it could be something like if there's a phobia and something traumatic happened, and you say
Yes.
you have claustrophobia, you may have been locked in or put in an enclosed space in a previous lifetime, and we need to transmute, or like I say, neutralize the emotion around it, release it so that you can move forward and grow.
That makes
And
so much
it
sense.
and the other thing that I really like to do, because I always find, when you get a reading or people want to come for a reading, often it's to fix something, right?
Yeah.
Like, I want answers. Why is this happening? Da, da, da. Something's going on in your life. So
Yeah.
for me, I also like to go into your happiest lifetime.
Thank
What
you.
is your most, like, show me one of so and so's happiest lifetimes, and then bring that confidence forward as well. But it could
Because
be
then it
career, it could be anything.
in everybody's life, they've had good and they've had bad. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
all, oh my God, I was thrown in a dungeon and
Yeah,
stoned. You know what I
exactly,
mean?
right?
Sometimes you
So,
lived a pretty cool life where you
mhm,
lived on in a field in a beautiful log home and you had a
yeah,
beautiful family. I'm going back to one of mine that I
okay.
actually went into the Akashic Records, and it was a beautiful life. So it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
all sad and yeah, one time
exactly,
I was
right?
thrown in a dungeon and been chewed on by mice. That's my
Yeah,
favorite
probably
for
more than
mice.
once.
What the hell? I'm such a
Just
nice
gonna
guy, though.
say. Just saying.
You're killing me. You're killing me.
But you know what I mean? Because I think it's really important. Balance is really important. So let us
Yes.
find the goodness in there as well and bring that
Yes.
forward. So it's
Exactly.
not just the, yes, of course, we'll deal with whatever it is that's troubling you, but also it's equally important to see the beauty that you have lived.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly. So important. So many people when they, especially when they come to me for a reading, I think they're the first time people meet me, and they, because I do 99% of my readings by via Zoom. So
Hmm.
they come on. A, I'm a male,
Yeah.
and B, I'm kind of goofy. I don't know if you
Yeah.
noticed this yet, and
Yeah.
since you've got
No,
to
I
know me,
think I picked up on that.
I'm kind of
Yeah.
goofy, and that in my readings, I'm the same way because I honestly believe when I'm passing messages on from your spirit guides or loved ones from the other side, holy crap, what a gift. And it's not that I have a gift. What a
No.
gift that they're giving us that
Yeah.
you're able to actually get a message from a loved one. It
Yeah,
shouldn't
it's
be
lovely.
all,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It's supposed to be exciting. And you know what? Your
Yeah.
guides all have a sense of humor. I'm telling you,
Oh, for sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah,
they have a personality just like
yeah.
Alanna and just like I do. They all
Exactly,
have that
right?
personality, and they portray that when they come through.
Yeah.
You talked about it, and I wasn't gonna bring it up. I wasn't gonna touch on it, but your guides and my guides are saying you have to. You mentioned dragons, that you work with dragons. I remember the first time you mentioned that to me. I just thought, holy crap, who am I talking to? This girl has lost her freaking
And then
mind.
you saw your dragon as a cartoon, so I don't think I'd be judging me if I were you.
My dragon is not a cartoon anymore. Okay, that was in the first time I ever saw him. That's how my mind saw it. Not a
Yeah.
cartoon anymore.
Mhm. Yeah, so exactly, right? But that's what you needed at the time because of fear too, right?
Exactly.
It
So
was safe. It was
dragons,
a safe, right?
dragons are real.
Yes, yes.
Where do dragons
Well,
preside?
they're in a different realm, but now they are they come into our world regularly. And everybody
No.
I have ever talked to has a dragon, kind of like, you know, when you have guardian angels, that kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
just the easiest because everybody has heard that term, right? You also have a guardian dragon. And so a dragon that works with you and can work in different ways. And so
And
it's a
it's
great
really
way.
important. You chose your words really carefully there. Sorry to interrupt you, but you
Okay.
said works with you. You didn't say works for you
Oh, yeah. Good luck with that.
because they get really mad when you say that. Whenever you
Yes.
use the words, um, they work for you or anything like that,
Yeah.
they're
They're
like,
like,
what the,
is that right?
so, eh?
Yeah.
So they do
It's,
work
yeah.
with you.
Yeah, it's a respect issue too. And
Yes.
for me, the first time that I had seen or it came through for me is when I was doing Reiki for somebody. So the first time I did Reiki for this, not the first time, but the first time they came through, I was doing a distance Reiki session for somebody.
Okay.
Luckily, this woman who I've known for a long time, this girl, she was familiar with dragons, and so that was fine. And
Yeah.
so, but I'm like, I had never, that had not ever happened.
So it
They
kind of
work
probably freaked you out.
very, they work closely with me in healing, like everything's in healing, right? So
Yes.
the healing through with you with dragon energy is intense and it's fast. And
Yeah.
so I remember talking to this girl and saying, "Wait a minute, is your dragon orange?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's orange and gold." I'm like, "Oh my god!"
I
Anyway,
just saw it.
I
So
just saw it.
dragons, a lot of times Hollywood gets things totally wrong.
Mhm,
Um, we just watched a show last night, House of Dragons,
mhm.
and I don't know if you watched it. It's the
I'm watching
prequel
that.
to
Yes,
Game of
I was
Thrones.
going to, but we put it on too early. It wasn't on
Oh,
yet.
it is. It was good. The first episode was good. So there's a plug. Watch House of Dragons.
I will
If
have to do that.
you don't even need to watch, you don't have to have watched Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It helps. You kind of, but you're.
But you have an idea then, right?
Well,
Like,
but it hurts because you're constantly trying to relate everything back to Game of Thrones, and you don't really
yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Well, cool.
now the dragons they show on that show, are they similar to, or are they totally different than what
Yeah,
a
I haven't
dragon
seen
looks
it,
like?
so I can't.
You've seen Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I've seen Game of Thrones,
You've
and
seen
I
the
think
dragons in the Game of Thrones.
I think the really important thing to remember is that not all dragons are going to look like that. They are going to appear that's most comfortable for you.
Thank you.
You know, they're not cartoons. They're not giant. I had an argument with my 7-year-old grandson about dragons.
He's seen how to train your
Well,
dragons.
he's really good at drawing. He's like, I'm drawing. I said, well, what are you drawing? It's like, oh, well, it's a dragon. I'm like, oh, it's really nice. Oh, it's an evil dragon. I'm like, dragons aren't evil. He's like, yes, they are. This one is. I said, no, they're not. And I'm like to myself, why am I arguing with a 7-year-old?
I was thinking that. I wasn't going to say it.
And I'm like, okay, we'll talk about this later.
We'll talk about this when you get older.
Yeah, you clearly can't understand.
Oh my goodness. Dragons help you, you said, with healing.
Yeah. One of the ways, yes.
In one of the ways, using their energy, is that how
Yes.
it works?
Yes.
Can you delve into that a little bit?
Okay, so if people are familiar with how Reiki works, where you're sending healing energy to somebody and distance energy, right? Like I'll do it distance-wise, remote, not in the same room, right? Well, I could do it both, but whatever.
Yeah.
And so for this conversation, we'll just talk about distance. And so then I will open the channel for Reiki. But then I will add, depending on the situation, right? Like it depends what the person's needs. It's not like the same for everybody. But
exactly.
I may just I will ask this person's dragons to come through. And then I would ask my dragons to come in, and we can work together to send healing to where the person needs. Just
Very
as a
cool.
small, I have other
Yes.
other beings that come through, but to help me, but because I have my spirit team, I call them.
Nice.
Yeah. So basically, in that way, and so it's just that it's quite intense. I mean, and when I say intense, I don't mean it's painful, because it's not.
No.
It's just the energy is more intense.
Yes,
so,
of course.
Yeah, and that's why most of the time when I do my distance healing, I do it in the evening, 9:30, 10 o'clock. So, and I task the person to be really relaxed, go to bed, or I'll send a text, okay, I'm starting in 10 minutes or something like that, right? And so that because they often pass out.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, go right to sleep, a deep healing sleep. So,
right.
It depends on the person.
You don't want them driving while you're doing
that.
that.
And everybody's different. So,
Yeah,
I'm not going to say, oh, every single time you're going to do this. But
I'm learning quickly, never say every time in the spiritual, because every time is different. Everything we do a little bit different for every client that we have. Shelley Wasler has a question, and I know she's has taken some Reiki. She's asking, is it good to bring your dragon in during a self Reiki session?
For me, it's different because I work with my dragon for everything. And so if, I always think it's a good idea because they're always wanting to help. They always want to be helpful. And what I would suggest is do it one without and then do it with, and you can see how that works for you. It's because they can also be very gentle, right? Very gentle healing as well. It's not like it's all big and bad or whatever, but so that's what I suggest is always try a few things, because it's like hitting, but I always ask my dragons for healing if I have.
And a dragon can't hurt you. Like there's
No,
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 they're not hurtful. They're not
no,
they're
no, no,
not,
no, no.
that's more the Hollywood. They're going to breathe fire and
Yeah, yeah,
can't
no. But
blow
they're
you up.
very good at protection,
Very, very good at protection. Ellison, I
as
hope
you
you're
know.
listening. Yes, Ellison, I hope you're listening. Ellison
Oh,
uses her
fabulous.
dragon, works with her dragon all the
Yeah.
time
So
during the healing sessions. Sorry,
yeah,
especially when we're traveling, she loves to have her dragons make sure that they're watching over us as we travel. So
absolutely, they
I
can
think
do
she's
that.
just scared of my driving, but
Yeah, and maybe she has a valid point.
hey, you've never driven with me. You don't know that.
I'm just assuming.
Okay, fine. It's a guy
I'm
thing.
I'm all in with Allison, bro.
You're hilarious. Um,
Yeah.
so you teach Reiki. You now teach Reiki as well. You don't just
Yes.
do
Yeah. I just
Reiki. You
taught
teach
level
Reiki.
1, 2 this weekend. So yeah.
Nice. You teach. You taught level 1 and 2 the same weekend.
Yep.
Awesome. It's a 1-day course. Then the
One
next
day
day is,
each.
yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. But you also teach Akashic Records.
Yes.
Um, when we're talking about teaching Akashic Records, you mentioned level 1. You have the ability to go in and look at your
Hmm.
own lifetimes. Are you
Yeah.
able to, after level 1, are you able to do healing on yourself?
It's more, level 1 is more reading your own. Like
Okay.
basically it's like you're just reading the book. You're not really
Yeah.
altering anything. It's
Right.
just learning. It's, it's learning what it is, how they work, and who you work with in the records and that type of thing. So because
Are we
there's
allowed to?
a
Are we
oh,
allowed to talk about who we work with in the
yeah, of
Akashic
course.
Records? Okay. I was
So
like,
there,
yeah, we're
yeah,
allowed.
yeah.
Of course, we're allowed.
So there's an archangel that is like the head librarian, that is in charge of the records, called Lord of Akashic Records. That's
Yes.
his job. That's what he does. He has other people that, not people, but
We always say that
assistants.
he has other people. No, he doesn't. He has other souls.
Yes, yeah, and angels as well, right? So
Angels as
that,
well.
yeah, that work with him in that, those types of things, just like in a real library, right? So it's
Exactly. You've
like,
got the
yeah,
head
so it's the same
librarian,
idea.
and then you got
Yeah,
all the other people.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
So when we're going into the Akashic Records, we say we're going into. Um, it's not like we're doing astral traveling or anything like that.
No, and everybody's different, I believe.
Yeah.
When I go, this is how it works, and this is how I explain it to my clients. If somebody's coming to me for a reading, for example,
Yeah.
how it works for me is I ask permission to go in, which is extremely important. You never, never go into anybody's records without their permission, but also you won't get in.
I was
Lord
going
of
to say, are
Akashic
you
Records
allowed to
won't
get
let
in?
you in.
No, I
It's
didn't
not
think
like
so.
somebody's, might tap into or whatever. You can't get in unless without permission. So that's
Yeah.
really, really, really good, because to me, ethics are extremely important, right?
Yes.
So how it works for me, once we're in, person is asking me a question, I'll ask Lord of Akashic Records. I would say, Lord of Akashic Records, can you show me one of the lifetimes where this, whatever it is,
Fear
is,
of mice.
yeah, it started and
Yeah.
why. And so then for me, I actually have a vision, like it'll just show up in front of me like I'm watching a TV screen.
Okay, that's
And,
how it happened for me when I saw mine. It was
yeah,
literally
and
like
I
a
hear
motion
as well.
picture. Yes.
So I see, I hear, and so then I will just explain to the person what I see, and then we go from there. And then the nice thing about, I mean, I know that most times if you get a reading, you can ask open-ended questions. But what I love about the Akashic Records is it's really important to only ask open-ended questions, because
Yes.
then, okay, give me more information on that, or you can get more details. Because the thing about, if you ask closed-ended questions, it could be something like, say you just broke up with somebody and they left and you're heartbroken, and so you're like, oh, are they coming back? And then the answer is yes, but they're coming back to get their stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not quite what you want, right? So that's why it's really important to be as detailed as possible
Yeah.
and see, and what is in your best and highest purpose,
Awesome. So then if someone wants to take level 1, that's what they can expect to
Yes.
kind of see or learn.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
Experience,
when you step into level 2,
which is great.
Which is
because then awesome, because level 2 teaches you how to read other people's records. And I'll tell you my experience, which was fabulous. But after I had level 2, I started doing markets and doing readings. And it was my business completely exploded because it was, something a lot of people were doing tarot readings, and this was different. So it worked out really well. And to me, like I said, it's all about healing. It's not for, like, to me, it's not entertainment, right? So
but there is people who just
which is
want
fine.
to do a reading for entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
I get it all the time.
Oh, for sure. Right? Yeah, for sure. But most, and probably because of my intention and what I put out in the universe, it's people that need healing that mostly come to me.
Nice.
Or answers about stuff, right?
That is so cool.
Because the thing about the Akashic records too, you also get possible future outcomes, right? So, which I'm not a big fan of telling.
I love that. I love the way you worded that. Possible.
It's possible because of free will. If you turn left instead of right, everything could change.
I tell people that all the time. It's like,
it's like,
I can't give you the winning lottery numbers. But I can't predict the future because I don't know which way you're going to turn when you leave the house today.
Yeah,
you might use your left hand instead of your right hand to open the door. It changes everything.
Yeah.
Right? And it really does. Something so minute like that changes your whole life's path for the good or for the bad, or makes no difference.
Oh,
but it still changes it.
I have a good example about the dragons. You're going to laugh at this, though. Okay. We're having some issues with wasps.
Hold on.
It's a horrible year for wasps.
I can mute her if I need to, folks.
But I was like, we were having issues with wasps in our backyard. And so it's like, my poor husband has been stung so many times. He got stung like 4 times the other day by one wasp. But anyway, I was going out there and I'm like, okay. And then I started to get fearful, right? So I'm like, okay, dragons, I need you to, if you can please surround me in protection so that nothing attacks me. And there's like a barrier around our table. And so that the wasps don't come near us. I would really appreciate it.
I could have used that while I was camping for the last 2 weeks. We had more bugs and wasps camping. It was insane.
Yeah, for sure.
But so that would work.
So I'm like, it's worth a shot, right?
Did it work?
It worked.
There you go. That's awesome.
I need them all to feel safe in my presence.
We're not going to
I am not a threat to you. I'm not a threat.
See, I was a threat because I went out and bought one of those zapping wand things.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, just thought I'd let you know. I did use Reiki on a dragonfly the other day, though. That fell in my baby pool where I put my feet in the backyard. I'm like, it's still alive. Put it at the tree.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry.
You're killing me. So level 2, when you're taking a level 2 Akashic training or level 3, it's more if you want to be using it as a business. If you just want it for yourself, level 1 is suffice.
But level 2, you can also go in, do some rewrites in your own records. And so even if you're not going to do it for somebody else, right? Remember when I was talking about contracts, deals, and agreements, right?
Yes.
And so you may have said something to yourself. I'll just give a simple example, right? Yeah. Like you were using before, where I will never fall in love again, because then every lifetime you have issues with relationships, right?
Right.
Okay, well, that's clearly not working. So let us go in. You obviously cannot change what has happened in another lifetime.
That's what I was getting at, yes.
At all, because it happened. But what you can do is just reword it. Right. I am safe to trust and fall in love again. Or, I mean, I'm just like giving something.
And you could remove the emotion around it as well.
Yeah, and then I always, when I'm working with a client, these are your records, even though I'm suggesting the words, because sometimes there's a trigger word that'll come up or something. Are you comfortable? How does that feel? Breathe that in. How does that feel? Does that resonate? And so it's very, very important that you are working for your client, right?
Yeah,
That's like, we're all the same. Nobody's better than anybody else, but I want to make sure you're happy and you're comfortable with what we're doing here, you know?
exactly. Susan Sweeney
Mhm.
is asking course fee for Akashic Records.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to just send them to your webpage?
Yeah, you can go on my webpage. It is alannascottking.com.
Shit, think about that one.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, or it's also on my Facebook page, Akashic Dragon Healing Services. It's
exactly.
$400 for 2 days.
It's a 2-day course, 8-hour course each
Yeah,
day.
like so it's 2 full days.
Such a
It's
good deal.
maybe less depending on how many people are in the course, right? Less people, the course is a little bit shorter because then
Okay.
you're practicing with each other and stuff like that.
Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Um,
But thank you for asking.
I knew somebody would. I was going to get to it later. Um, where do you see yourself going from here? What's the future hold for Miss Scott King?
I am well, always trying to always evolve, right? So that's the important thing. And I am traveling a little bit, and so I'm doing workshops elsewhere. So
Oh,
I'm going to Montreal, and
okay.
so um what my plan is anyway. So I haven't seen my family in a long time. And so while I'm there, then I want to do some readings. I want to do some classes if I can.
Oh,
So
very
that
cool.
I'm looking forward to that. And
How long are you
then,
going to be in Montreal for?
well, I'm not sure because I have to
Okay.
figure all that out first.
I
but
haven't figured it
but
out. I'm just going.
my goal is to be able to travel and teach. Now
Oh, very
that
cool.
it's a little bit easier, like I'm in Calgary, but I can, and I do teach in person as well. So, and the other thing I offer is if when I have a course coming up, it's not working, I am completely fine to do a one-on-one with somebody because sometimes if a person's a little bit more introverted, they're not as comfortable. So,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
great with that too. It's the same for me.
Awesome. Very cool. Very,
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah. And I'm also doing more house clearings as well, clearing
Oh,
energy in
really?
homes and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
Um,
helpful too.
I started doing that, and I stopped doing it. When we're doing house clearings, Alana Pineda
Yeah.
says
Yeah.
her courses are amazing.
Oh, thanks, Alanna.
She obviously has taken some of your courses.
Yeah.
Um, when we're saying clearing houses, what are we clearing them of? People?
Okay. So, stagnant energy, say, for example, you're selling your house,
Yeah.
right? What the clearing does is clears all the energy of the people that live there. So somebody walks in to look at the house, it's the energy is brighter and lighter. It's quite a
Right.
bit lighter and if there is somebody, like, I go through several steps, but if there are like random, because sometimes random souls go by, right?
They do. They do.
Or
Trust me.
if it's yeah, and if it's a really old house, then
Oh, yeah.
there might be, or depending on where the house is built, could have
And I
been
was going to
somebody
come to
buried
that.
underneath,
Yes.
all that stuff. So
Especially
what?
where we live in Canada. I
Yeah,
mean, there's so many lands that were occupied well before us Europeans came over,
yeah,
that we're now building houses
yeah,
on, and
yeah,
people are like, I can't figure out why my house is so weird, like it feels weird inside. Well,
yeah.
because you probably built on an ancestral graveyard.
Yeah.
We don't
So
know.
it's clearing it. And then I also put protection around it too. And I work with the dragons as well for that,
Very
and
cool.
angels, so that there's this space is protected.
Now, do you have to be at the house to be able to do that,
No,
or can you do
no.
that?
That's
You
mostly done remotely.
is it?
Yeah.
The days of using sage, it was really funny because when
Yeah.
we were Allison and I went to a crystal shop this weekend, or yesterday. I guess that was the weekend, wasn't it? Yeah. And they had some sage, and
Yeah.
she goes, "Oh, we could sage your house," and I'm like, "Yeah, that'll be good for my lungs."
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't need to do that saging. We can clear it with intention, can we not?
You can, and yeah, for sure. But there are different ways, right? It's
Yeah.
not that one's better than the other. I still use sage. I still use sage in my own home.
Oh, do you really?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
really?
I do. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
See,
I
I think that
use
would really come
dragon
on.
blood sage.
Go figure. I actually, where's my bag? Huh. Did I bring it
It's
upstairs?
red, just so you know.
I I
But I
actually
don't always
I
though.
bought a dragon stone, dragon blood stone
Hmm.
when I was out there. I don't know what I did with
Yeah,
it.
and so I do occasionally will go to somebody's house if they really want me to go to their house, but I don't, it's not necessary, and then I can kind of just report what has come up. If I'm in person, you're standing there, so you obviously know.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, so but it works really well, and it helps to sell faster too. So,
Oh,
and
that's
even if
cool.
you're not selling it, sometimes you just need a good clearing of your home,
Yeah.
right? So,
I mean,
and
as you
that works
know,
too.
anybody who does any type of readings, energy
Mhm.
work of any type should be clearing their house, clearing it before and after a session,
Yeah,
because literally we're inviting all kinds of neat stuff to
yeah.
come in.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly, right? So, and honestly, most are fine. It's not like a horror movie. And so most of the time it's completely fine. Occasionally
yes.
there's some not so fine, but it's kind of like if you go into a store. Okay, you go into a store and you walk in and it's like as soon as you step in, it's like, I don't want to be here. And
Yeah.
so you like turn around because the energy in there is so bad. Sometimes it's from the people who are working there, or just somebody has a really negative or bad day or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And so then you just don't even want to be in that store. And so it's kind of that idea. You just, not that that's happening in your house,
No,
but if there are negative people living there, or if a visitor came through, like whatever. So it's always good to just kind of clear it all up,
it
right?
is.
So
It is. And
yeah.
so that's you. They can find that service listed on your website, alannascottking.com.
Yes.
That is awesome. What do you, just out of curiosity, what do you charge for a house cleaning?
100.
100. Oh, that's reasonable. That's
Yeah.
very reasonable. Um, we kind of touched. There's only 10 minutes left, so let's try
Okay.
to do this without crashing the internet.
Okay.
You touched on dark entities at one point during this
Yeah.
discussion.
Yes.
Look at that. We didn't crash the internet yet.
Yay.
Um,
I have way more protection now.
yeah,
So.
exactly. We're getting a little bit better at what we do. So when we're talking about dark entities or dark beings, um, can you explain that? Can you put that into, as I say, can you dumb that down or layman's terms?
Yeah, it's very, very, very rare. Okay, so like way less than 1%, right?
And that's the thing. People have to understand it's way
Yeah, this
less,
is not normal. It's not
1%.
normal. Okay.
Less than 1%. So
Yeah.
just because the door closed in your house and there's no logical reason, 99.9% of the time, it's
Mhm.
not a dark entity.
Yeah, it could be a soul, right? But
Exactly.
different things come through. My experience where was with somebody, I mean, I've had a few, but one example is this person that had this attachment to him had lived a very violent life. And so when your vibration is lower, and I'm not saying everybody's like this, just in this
Yes.
particular case, okay? In this particular case, when you're, because the happier you are and the better the things happen, you higher your vibration, right? That's why we're always trying to raise our vibration. But
Exactly.
when you're in an environment, or it could be abuse, or it could be like, you know what I
Could
mean,
be a
but
million different
million
things.
different things where you're always angry, or there's a lot of dark like stuff happening, like bad stuff or whatever, you're more open for these things to come through, because then they want to glom on to you, because they want to feed on, often my experience has been
Yeah.
anyway, that this one was feeding on like the lower vibrations, so that if there's self-hatred, or if there's, you know what I
Yes.
mean, that
Yeah.
stuff. Like if you're depressed, you're more likely to get an attachment when you're feeling really low than not. And not to say you always will, because that's not the case at all,
No.
but it's just you're
Exactly.
more susceptible, shall we say. So
Right.
then in this one case, it was bad for this particular person. And so then I had to go in and remove it from him. And there's a whole process for that, dealing with a lot of angels and uh, beings of light and stuff like that that I work with.
Oh, that's very cool. Very cool. Very
Yeah.
not something that everybody's going to get
Yeah,
into.
and you don't even need to worry about it. I don't want to scare people. I
No,
don't even
because
have it on my website because I don't want to draw the wrong any cult stuff towards me. It's like, woo, yeah, no, thank you. But
thank
even
you.
if myself, like I'm fairly well protected. I protect myself because often when you're pulling something like that off, they come towards you. They need
Yeah, of
another
course.
host
Well,
or whatever.
they need energy, right?
Yeah, and so I remember lying in bed, and this was not long ago. I was lying in bed, and it's interesting because if this would have happened to me a few years ago, I would have been lying there petrified. I looked up in the wall, and it's nighttime, it's dark, and all of a sudden it was like I could see something like it looked like tar sliding down the wall,
Oh, oh,
and I'm like, "Are you effing kidding me? How did you get through?"
get out of here.
And just dealt with it. I laughed, but I mean, it showed me how much I've grown as well and learned, and so then I'm really grateful for that. But it's like it
Nice.
happens, but it's very like it's not normal, right? Like
No,
it's
exactly.
not something people need to be worried about,
No.
you know. So
But
yeah,
if it does happen and you think it might have happened or is happening to you, reach out because there's always somebody
they can
um,
check.
that can check you.
Yeah,
Um, I have Alanna check me. Alanna has me check her on a regular basis.
yeah,
Just because we deal with so many different souls coming in and out
yeah,
of our
yeah,
lives
for sure, for
that
sure.
and most of the time it's just a soul that's
It's
attached
not a big
themselves.
deal, right? So
But a soul can cause you to be grumpy. Ask Ellie.
yeah,
When I get a soul
well,
attached,
and it
I get
happens,
grumpy
right? Yeah,
because
well, it's true, right?
they're
And that
draining your
happened to
energy.
me this morning. Yeah.
Yeah, they're literally
Yeah.
draining your energy. That's why they're attaching to you.
Yeah,
Um,
and it could be nothing. You're not doing anything wrong. Like
no,
I had something attached to me and I just walked through Costco yesterday and it was from just passing somebody and it happened.
and and
And I'm like,
because
why
we're
am I
so
so
open,
emotional? And it's like, okay, something's there. So I
exactly,
needed to get rid of it or whatever. But it was fine. But like I said,
exactly.
most times it's fine. So yeah.
So
Hopefully that made sense and I
yeah,
answered
I think you
people's
did. Yeah,
questions.
I hope so. So if somebody wants to book a session with you, um, they're just starting. They're just starting their spiritual journey, I'll say,
Hmm.
um, and they don't know what they need. Because
Yep.
I know when I first started this crazy journey of mine, I
Yeah.
jumped right in and took a channeling course,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden I was like, "What the hell's happening?"
Yeah,
Right?
exactly, right?
So if someone's coming in brand new, can they just like book a session and tell you, "I don't know what I need"?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I have like 15-minute complimentary session
Thank you.
just to like I'm not sure what I want
I don't know what I
or
need.
I don't know
What
what
is
I
this
need.
healing? I
What do
don't
you think?
because
You know what I
people
mean?
don't
Like,
know what they need healed until
yeah.
they're showing what they need healed. You know what I
I was
mean?
yeah, I was reading when I was teaching my not Akashic, Reiki this weekend, and there was one because I have a manual, right?
Yeah.
And so then one of the things it said, oh yes, when somebody's first getting a Reiki session, they should book at least 4. And I'm like, why would you do that? And I'm like, that's wrong.
Wrong.
Like minimum of 4. What is wrong with you? Why is it going to take you that long? Anyway,
No.
but if you need more than one, fine. But yeah, yeah, it's the same
Yeah.
idea, right? Everybody's different, and so there's no like,
Well, I always tell
standard
people when they're
anything.
booking a session, especially with me talking to your spirit guides or loved ones, I don't guarantee anything because I don't know what you need until your guides come through and we start talking.
Yeah,
Right. And quite
yeah,
often I'll be like, oh, you should talk to somebody about Akashic Records, or you should
yeah,
have someone
yeah,
talk to somebody who does Reiki. It'll really be beneficial to you.
yeah, for
But
sure.
I couldn't tell you that before I do a session with your guides.
Yeah,
It's funny because I always point here with guides and I always point there, which is my closet, because I'm in a
hmm,
spare bedroom, which is my office. But it
okay, yeah.
also, that there pulls down to a bed. So my
Oh,
grandkids
okay.
sleep in here. And I always point to my closet when I talk about the other side because I put my arm out parallel
Yeah.
And it points to the closet. I'm terrified my grandkids are going to watch one of my shows and think it's the other side in the closet.
There's a bunch of ghosts in the closet.
I'm not sleeping at
So
Papa's.
go right to sleep.
Don't you dare move.
Yeah. So yeah, and I mean the beauty of it is everybody learns at their own pace. There's no
Yes.
right or wrong way, and just because one person does this doesn't mean another person does this. Just like there's several different kinds of teachers, different kinds
Yes.
of healers.
And it's
Nobody is better than anybody else.
exactly. And that's why I always tell people I could recommend Alanna, or I could recommend
Mhm.
Ken, or I could recommend
Yeah.
Natasha. But I don't like doing it because I don't want you to take my word. I want you to meet them and you
Yeah.
decide,
Yeah. Exactly.
because you'll know and people will
Yeah.
know who they need to go to for teaching, for healing, for whatever it is. If it
Yeah.
doesn't
People
feel right,
find you, right?
fine,
Mhm.
go somewhere else. It's simple.
Yeah.
Miss Alanna, thank you so much for jumping in on like this, on such short notice. I so appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. Don't go away. I want to chat with you after I say goodbye to everybody. But
Okay.
thank you. And if you want to get a hold of Alanna, you can go to her webpage, alannascottking.com.
Yeah, or
Or
you could just search it as
yes,
Akashic Dragon Healing Services.
I'll never get that right. Akashic Dragon Healing Services. I don't know why that's so
Yes.
hard for me to get into my head.
Yeah,
Akashic
and I
Dragon
have
Healing
yeah,
Services.
and I have a Facebook page, I have Instagram, and often I put promotions on there too. So
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you. I'm going to put you over into the waiting room,
thank you so
and
much.
you're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate you. People, thank you so much. Next week, I realized as I was talking to Alanna before we came on, I am not going to be doing a Kevali Channeling Presents because I'm going to be working with Ken Lewicki. He's doing a presentation in downtown Calgary at the Ramada. Go to kenlewickichanneling.com. You will see his event listed there. He's bringing in, there's actually somebody coming in, I believe they're from Vancouver, and they're going to be filming a documentary where he's going across Canada. His name's Kamel, and he's going across Canada filming different spiritual businesses, people in spiritual businesses, showing what they do. So this week he's going to be in Calgary, and he's going to be filming my good friend Ken Lewicki. So if you're around in Calgary, take a look at it. Go to Ken's Facebook page, Channeling Inc., Ken Lewicki Channeling Inc., and you'll be able to look it up. If I'm back from holidays, so my availability, I changed it a little bit. I'm going to be available a lot more evenings. I think it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in the evening. So if you want to book a session with me, go to Kevali Channeling Facebook page, click the book now. I still only charge $50 for a 1-hour session. I'm also offering groups. I'm finding group sessions are becoming very, very popular. Whether you want your one best friend with you, or you have 10 best friends or 20 best friends that you want to make an evening of it. If you're in the Calgary area, we can talk about me coming to your house and doing it live, or we can do it over Zoom. I can do it both ways. So until probably not next week, but hopefully I see you all next week in Calgary. But September, I think it'll be September 12th. I think September 5th is a long weekend. So September 12th, the Monday, I will be interviewing none other than Ken Lewicki. So tune in for that one. I will be posting all about it. Until then, have a great couple weeks. We'll talk to you then.